Lioness of Judea. How are you?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me.
Great. You were like my first guest when I first started going live,
I'm honored.
and I lost my live access. And
Oh,
for some reason, it kept saying that TikTok Live is not available in your region.
oh, wait. Let me guess. You had to get 1,000 followers, right?
Well, no, I already had 1,000.
Well, that's the thing. TikTok is trying to make it harder for Israelis to take part. I know for a fact that other people around the world don't have to have a minimum 1,000 followers in order to join or to host their own live. It kind of screwed with mine for a little while, but I'm glad that you can do it now. I mean,
Yeah, I think at first for a while I couldn't do anything, and then all of a sudden I got these notifications that I could go live on my computer, but
oh
not
yeah, yeah.
through the app.
Yeah,
And
it had the same thing for me too, by the way. I started with the computer, then afterwards, I think you need to reinstall the app on your phone.
I've done all that. I
Oh,
sent messages to TikTok, and they sent me the same answer. TikTok Live is not available in your region.
that's bullshit. I'm sorry, that's bullshit.
No.
Don't give up. I mean, I don't know what caused it to act up. It will probably not be the last time it does that. Don't stop trying to do, you know.
Well, you know what I think finally made it happen is because I had a second account, but I wasn't really active on it. And it was an account that I had bought followers on and tried to go live on that account. And then because it wasn't even working anyway. So I decided to just delete that account. And once I deleted that account, like within a week or two, then all of a sudden I could go live on this account. So this is my only account.
I don't understand that. Honestly, I don't know what the logic behind that, but I don't know what's wrong with TikTok. But then again, that's another live topic.
So, I don't know if you've been following my videos, but I wanted to talk to Israelis here in Israel. And
Okay.
I think we talked about this before, talking about how Israelis view the situation here and how Arabs view the situation outside Israel, here in Israel. I just decided that I don't want to talk to anybody outside Israel anymore because it's just a useless point because you keep telling people like you don't understand, you have to be here, and no matter how much you try to explain anything to them, they just say that you're lying.
Yeah,
And
I even asked people at some point, wait a minute, you live in the US, right? When was the last time your house was boom boomed from above by missiles? Never, the guy said. Well, you don't know how I feel then because mine has. So what do you think I'm going to do? Do you think I'm not going to be paranoid that another country will attack? And they're probably going to do this again, by the way. I just watched the news.
yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, they don't care because they hear the sob stories from the Arabs and the Palestinians, and that's all they care about.
Yeah.
I've I've thought about this. Like, if I had in my head that somebody was like literally a schmatzi and just as evil as that, uh, I would probably think the same thing. And
Well, it's easy.
nothing that you say is going to change that because in their head they only see you as a schmatzi.
Yeah, it's easy. That's how people become part of the raging anti-Semitism waves all over the world now. I mean, every day I see at least four or five cases around the world of anti-Semitic attacks.
Yeah. So what are we going to do about like? And I think we're actually doing the wrong thing to combat it because everybody wants to say like our Israeli PR is so bad that we do a bad job at explaining things. We're not quick enough to combat the lies and the propaganda that it's like gets ahead of us. And by the time we like explain it, like everybody like doesn't care because they've already seen the lie or whatever. And
Yeah,
I don't think the problem is that trying to explain it. I think it's comes within us and here in Israel because we keep wanting to like blame the outside and say they just don't understand, they're against us, whatever, they believe the propaganda. But there's a reason why they believe the propaganda and not us. And I feel like as long as, and this is controversial, as long as we have this kind of liberal democracy where we allow a segment of the population to protest the government and be almost violent about it and be vocal about it, that people on the outside point to that as as a justification and say, see, the state is really not that great. It's bad because the people inside are complaining about it. So it must
you
be
see, that's
bad.
where I disagree, because showing the fact, I tell people, you know what? I live in Haifa. About several streets away from me, there were several pro-Palestinian demonstrations, and nobody got hurt. There were on the other side of the street Israelis, pro-Israelis demonstrating. And that is what's so beautiful about this country, the freedom of protest, the freedom to express yourself, because that does not exist in Iran, and it does not exist in most Muslim states that I know, and it does not exist in Gaza.
I tend to want to agree in normal circumstances, but I feel like these are special circumstances. We are at war, and I feel like, just like during COVID, they were allowed to put emergency rules in place to prohibit people from gathering. And even though they still allowed protests, because God forbid we aren't a democracy, even though COVID was supposed to be, transmissible and nobody had the thing yet, I feel like it should be under the same conditions. These are special emergency situations where protesting is emboldening our enemies to the point where we're having to keep fighting longer and harder and to get our hostages back. It's prolonging the conflict, and it's detrimental.
Yeah, I see why you're saying that. And I agree with the fact that, first of all, it's not doing the states any good, in the face of the public, around the world. And I keep having to explain to people that we have protests here all the time. We had protests before October 7th for an entire year because of internal political affairs. And this is not something, this is a democracy. I keep reminding people we're a democracy.
They don't care because they don't care, because in the end, they don't feel like...
No, they don't care. There's no point of talking to them.
They don't deserve to be here, whether we're a democracy or not.
Yeah, so what I was thinking is, I need to check that. In previous wars, big wars that we had, like Yom Kippur, sometimes there was like those emergency instructions or something or other. That was before the Home Front Command. I'm talking about before the war in Lebanon was seen mostly in the north area, but the war in Yom Kippur was in many fronts, so the entire country was going through that, and not everything was okay. So I need to check. I should probably ask my parents, how was it at the time? Were people going to protest or not? Because it feels like at the time people were more unified, but I'm sure it wasn't. Everybody has always had different opinions. There's always diversity. So what did they do in those times when the country needed everybody to stand and fight? Did they have demonstrations then? I
don't know. I didn't think about that. That's a good
because
point.
Yeah, we changed. This is not okay. My parents' generation that grew up without social media, without the internet, and people didn't have, and didn't imagine they could have the possibility to express themselves without asking for permission. The most people could do is call the radio or send a letter to the newspaper, and now people are feeling entitled to express themselves and get upset if people, social medias don't let them. And because of that, people are, more, let's say, don't want to shut up. Let's say they don't want to show solidarity if it's something that they're not that agreeing with. There was a song by Uzi Hitman from his solo album called Haaretz Hazot, This Country. And he sings there, he says that I also fought for this country, whether I agreed or not, I went with it. And that's my opinion. Like, for example, I'm not a Bibi fan. I'm the last person in the world who would be a Bibi fan. Absolutely not. But I defend him because he's the prime minister of my state. I don't support him. If I could vote for anybody else, I would. But this is war, and he's the head of the government, and that's what we have, we'll win with that. So maybe people need to understand that. The problem is, with solidarity, it's very easy to abuse it. Like, some people could abuse the fact that it's not the time to argue, it's not the time to demonstrate, and then they impose their own agenda on us. Like, for example, with reserve duty. They enlisted 60,000 reservists who has already been on reserve duty in the last 2 years, while there are people in this country that haven't done one day in the army in their lives, and we need them. And some of them want to be in the army, but their communities won't let them. And why is that? I don't know. So right now, what they're trying to do now, I know why they don't want to join the army. They're a very closed society. They're afraid of change, and anybody who would leave their society and join another place for a short while may bring in changes. I get that. But it's war. It's not every day. You cannot have the luxury to do whatever you want, just like the reservist can't. So we need to, if we are going to impose solidarity, we also need to be very careful so that nobody would take advantage of that. Because, like right now, for example, the news is that they're going to promote the law that allows the Haredim not to join the army, while they're doing the invasion, the attack in Gaza. With 60,000 people who's already done their service, more than enough. See, they're doing it at the same time. That's something that I feel is wrong and it's unfair.
I understand where you're coming from, and it's an issue that I'm also, want the Haredim to serve, and there are some Haredim that are serving. It's a very complex issue.
The problem is that there are more who won't, because it is a mitzvah to defend your own people. There's nothing more noble than that.
Right, but their interpretation of, I don't know where they get this from. Actually, I need to look this up, but it's not only the idea of they don't want to join a secular army. They don't want the secularism imposed on them. And that's their main concern, that if they join the army, they're going to stop being religious, because that has happened over the years. The IDF is now really, really trying to change that in order to bring more Haredim in to accommodate their situation and lifestyle, their needs. But there's also this feeling from the leadership, the rabbis, that studying Torah is what keeps the state together. And if they leave and fight, then somehow that's going to be detrimental to the state. It kind of really doesn't make sense. But
yeah, I know. I mean, I studied literature, Hebrew literature and English literature. I think that protects the country as well. And I would like my studies to be funded by the state and not having to do military service because I'm studying. But I don't have that luxury because I'm not religious.
Because, well, if you put it on the other foot, how would you feel if, instead of, forcing somebody to fight for the country and join the army, that you were saying you have to dedicate 2 or 3 years to yeshiva study? Like it was mandatory.
Well, they already do that.
No, you don't.
No, they do. Because in high school, even if we don't like it, we're obligated to learn stuff, that a lot of students talk to me. I'm a teacher. A lot of students talk to me about why do they need to learn Bible studies? Because my husband came from Canada. I asked him, what did you learn over there? Did you learn anything about the Bible? No. Did you learn anything about history? The history of Canada? No. Geography? No. Just learn what you choose. And he did the basic high school diploma. What I'm saying is that we do something that it's very important. And I think it's amazing and we should still do it. Whether the students like it or not, we need to teach them Bible studies. It's unbelievably helpful, especially now when we're arguing with people on TikTok who have never read the Bible. They try to use it against us and I'm like, dude, you have no chance arguing with me about it. So, but just like I have to study a lot of things that I didn't like math. I hated math. It lowered my average grade very much. I was excelling in every other subject except math. But I had to do it because I was told that was the law. So, fine, I have no problem going to yeshiva, but I don't want to neglect protecting my country. And the sad truth is that they're not even willing to listen to any kind of compromise. Like, for example, we have to do 2 years if we're women, 3 years if we're men. Even if the Haredim join the army, they don't have to do all that time. And they get much more decent pay. I didn't get pay. I mean, I got 300 something shekel a month for, buying myself personal stuff. It's not, I wasn't working for the army. I was drafted. But, yeah. And I know how hard it's in the army. But trust me, I mean, the religious customs were imposed on me in the army, whether I liked it or not. And I didn't like it all the time. Like, for example, the fact that when I was doing guarding duty during Yom Kippur, the kitchen was closed. I had to stock food in my room in order to eat while I was doing guarding duty. Because the kitchen was closed because it's Yom Kippur. Never mind that pikuach nefesh doche mitzvah, but that's I think as a state, we all need to understand that whether we like it or not, there's things we need to do. If the government told me I have to go to a yeshiva, like people do Gadna, or you know what I mean, right? Gadna?
No.
Okay, it's like an army of it's not an army. It's a week that you do in the 12th grade of a week of simulating what it's like to be in boot camp. It's like you're doing like a sample of boot camp. You have to run around, you have to wear uniform, they show you how to use a pew-pew. That's okay. So not everybody likes it, but if you have to do it. If I had to do the same thing for yeshiva, I can do it. If I had to go, if it was obligated, I was obligated to go volunteer in the kibbutz, I would. And that's what they should do. Maybe we could do that. Maybe we could compromise on people here going to yeshiva and experiencing the Haredi way of life. If that means they'll join the army and help us during wartime, I can do that.
Interesting suggestion. The problem is I don't think many people would want to. Do you think?
People don't want to learn math, but they have to.
So I'm for the Haredim joining the army and fighting. Do support Bibi. I also have my qualms with Bibi, but I understand why he's doing a lot of things that he does. He's making compromises with the Haredim because he doesn't want to, collapse the government and go to elections.
Yeah, I know. He has to. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a coalition.
Right. And so I'm angry. I'm angry with the Haredim for doing that. Like, why would you even threaten that during a war? Like, so, and if you remember back, that's the whole reason this draft issue was the whole reason why the government collapsed, 5 years ago, and we had to go through 5 elections.
That was because of that?
Yes, it was because of the draft vote. They said we're going to leave the government.
Okay, I see what you mean. But yeah, it's very complex, and I also get why they don't want to argue about it now, because they need a stable government while we're at war, which is, I think that the first and foremost priority to the Haredim should be to make sure that October 7 doesn't happen in their own homes, because it could, because it already does in Judea and Samaria. It happened in Otef Gaza. It can happen in Judea and Samaria. It can happen in Jerusalem. It can happen in any mixed city. There are Haredim living here in Haifa, right next to Arab neighborhoods. What if the Arabs decided to do shit? I mean, we need people to protect us.
Right. Well, they feel like they're protecting us by studying Torah. But
I don't know about that. Against the rockets from, Pew, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on TikTok. That's why I talk so funny. Pew, pew. Against the stuff that Iran was sending to us, I don't think prayers would help as much as the Iron Dome. And I don't think against the theists in Gaza who tried to barge in and break the door of my house, I don't think a prayer would help. I think what would help would be the army coming to rescue me.
And even in Bnei Brak, I think they did get a hit somewhere in Bnei Brak during this Iran last war. And then I heard a rabbi say, well, because they used to say, nothing will touch Bnei Brak because, how Bnei Brak is, her team. And then they had to admit, maybe we're not doing enough because we got hit. So I hope that it's going to slowly sink into them. I really don't know what the answer is.
I mean, I actually did some research for my MA in Hebrew literature on the Maccabees. There's books that were not included in the Bible, the book of Maccabees A and the book of Maccabees B and C. B and C are pretty much a rehash of A. A is the entire story. And it's a lot easier to read also than some of the parts in the Bible because it's a little more modern. So it basically looking and reading what's going on there, it's amazing. It's like reading Lord of the Rings. It's incredible. And it's epic. And it shows that, first of all, Matthias Matityahu, he was a priest. He was a Kohen.
Right.
And his children, his sons, Judah, he was praying before every big battle. Praying was his weapon to draft the people to his to get them to stand behind him. By praying to God before every battle, he would instill so much courage in his soldiers' heart that they actually defeated the Greek Empire, which is unheard of. Of course it helps, but you also need to take up arms and defend. And of course, if you can't, you don't. And people shouldn't do it because they're forced to. People should do it because it's a privilege. It's a privilege to defend your own home. If I could do it, I would. I can't. So I'm doing it here on TikTok using my English. That's the only thing I can actually contribute.
Right. Well, same with me. Yeah. So anything else? Going back to the demonstrations, it's been said from some of the other hostage families that the aim of these protests is not really about the hostages. It's about toppling the government. I tend to agree with it because There was actually a story I read, I don't know, a few weeks ago about a former hostage. Forgot her name. She was in Tel Aviv in Neve Zedek area. She went into a cafe and she really needed to use the bathroom. And the owner yelled at her and said, it's for customers only, no, or
I
whatever.
think I read that too.
Did you read that?
Yeah.
And the guy was questioned by the press why he was mean to her. And he was like defending it and saying, well, I go to the protests. I support the hostages, but like there was a literal hostage in his presence and he disrespected that hostage. Like who does that? Like it's hypocritical and it just shows that the protests don't really care about the actual hostages. They want to just go, it's just an excuse to go against the government and topple the government and put pressure on the government to make a deal or something to stop the war or collapse the government. Like, and all these protests are funded from NGOs that are getting their funding from outside Israel. So I have a problem with these people that are like just so really against the government and are willing to do anything to try to topple the government. And in this situation, it only helps our enemies. And they don't seem to care. They don't care. They hate so much. And just like the people outside hate us Israelis for being here, they just hate Bibi so much that they're willing to do this and they'll end up destroying us in the process. Like, that's what I'm really against.
I understand.
But you say it's democracy, but I say it's like, it's not working.
Well, it depends how far the demonstration goes. If it becomes violent to the point it could hurt somebody, then, I mean, I suppose everybody should draw the line at that. And I'm not a big fan of seeing like the Palestinian protest. Whenever I see those things, they enrage me. But I think the way that you deal with your frustration about the government is to go and demonstrate your frustration, because that's the only way we can do that, either that or the media. And then wait until election comes and elect whatever you want. The problem is, right now, they mix that with the demonstrations for the hostages. They mix two things that should not be mixed. I think a lot of the people who go to demonstrations have good intentions, but they're being, well, just like it would happen in any time and anywhere, they're being used by other people with their own agenda, with bad intentions. People need to be a little less naive. People shouldn't go to every single demonstration. They should know what they're standing behind. If they don't like the government, they don't like the government, fine. But here's the thing. People like to repeat slogans instead of speaking their mind and telling exactly if they're against or for something and why. And if you ask people in like pro-Pali demonstration, they have no idea why they're there. They don't know what's what, who's against who. They just think it's cool to stand and yell stuff.
And they're paid. And there's paid protesters there
Yeah. Don't get me started on that. I mean, seriously, a person has to be really desperate for money to do that. But with the hostages, if I had a hostage, family member or friend or somebody I really cared about, they were sitting there rotting in Gaza, I don't know what I would do. I'd probably either go run amok in the streets and do exactly what these families are doing, because I wouldn't be able to keep quiet. I would go to Gaza on foot and try to get him out myself if I could. Actually, that's what some of the parents tried to do, if you remember. I understand why the families of the hostages want them by any means necessary. And unfortunately, the majority of the hostages were released by those horrible hostage deals. It just enrages me that people think that hostages are a commodity. But we're put in a situation where we have to do things we hate.
Wait, what? Wait a minute. They're saying there's inactivity in my live.
What? No, because what? There's no comments?
I don't know. I'm moving around.
I should probably write down comments while we're speaking.
No, it says it's going to end in 5 minutes. We'll see. I don't know.
Well, I need to end too, because my husband should have been here by now. He's taking the train, so who knows? But I'll tell you this. I think if people are demonstrating now and it's a big mess, kind of reminds me of 2011 and the big protest then. People were protesting different things in the same street. They don't exactly know what the others are saying, what the others are doing. They're not really all agreeing on the same thing. But after seeing them, I understand their pain. I would go and demonstrate with them. Those demonstrations for the hostages, they're not for the government. They're for the world to see. The world to see and remember that there are hostages. The world forgot. And, that's what we can do to remind them.
I don't think it really matters, because it's a false kind of thinking to think that anybody can do anything to get the hostages out. Why are they going to Bibi to get the hostages out and complain? Why aren't they going to Hamas? And why aren't people putting pressure on Hamas? Why aren't the
You're absolutely
demonstrations
right.
against Hamas?
How can we go and demonstrate against Hamas? They're not right here.
But they can. They can still stand there and shout slogans against Hamas instead of against Bibi. That's my point.
I'm pretty sure they do, and if they don't, they should. They should take all their anger and throw it more than at the government. They should throw it at the actual enemy, whoever supports the actual enemy, which is Hamas. But I do know one thing. I just noticed something. I don't know if you know, Bibi is advancing two methods of getting the hostages back. They're going in Gaza in full power, but they're also negotiating, and it's working. Bibi is like, we're going to negotiate, but now we want all the hostages. And we're also attacking, because unless we do that, Hamas wouldn't want to come to negotiation table like they haven't been. They've been stretching the shit for a while now because we're not being fierce enough with them.
Right.
I think the final goal that Bibi wants is to get them to give up and go to the negotiation table, and then we can negotiate something like the Versailles Treaty that would screw up our, enemies proper, like it should, and bring all the hostages back. But we need to do that when they're under pressure, when they're afraid of us. He's very smart doing that. I don't know if people understand that. I don't know if people look at him and understand what he's doing. Because, for example, with Iran, at first, Trump was talking about telling Israel not to do anything, but he was doing it as part of an act. He was doing it, and all the time he was working with Bibi under the table, giving him anything. Even Britain was working. I don't know if you remember. It's like before they were like, no, Israel shouldn't do anything, and then Israel started, and they were, yes, Israel, do something.
Well, the people, I saw a tweet on X. These demonstrators are so delusional that they actually think that because they did the shutdown that just happened, they're saying it's because of the shutdown and all the protests. That's why Hamas is now negotiating a partial deal. Like, I
don't know if they want to think that that they have the power to change something. Unfortunately, the only person playing the game of chess with Hamas is Bibi. He's the one at the table, not me. But if there was a way that I could maybe tell him what I want him to do, maybe he would consider it. The fact that they told him that they want him to negotiate, that's a good thing, because that's what he's doing. He is negotiating and putting the Hamas under military pressure, as he should have done from the start. Right, but see, the whole flaw in that logic is the Arab mindset, Hamas's mindset, T group's mindset is any concession or any willingness to negotiate means you want to concede something, which means you're perceived as weak. And so, and they are weak. They need to be made to understand that they are weak. They need to be made to understand our government, our side is weak. Because okay. That's why we need the army to do, while we're talking with them, we need the army to F the shit out of them, like real good. That's where we failed last times, where we negotiated. We didn't have that iron fist to back us up. We need to beat them hard and keep asking them, do you yield? Do you yield? Well, it's going to take a bit, because everybody else is backing up Hamas in the negotiations. Qatar, Egypt, the only people that's backing us up are the U.S. The EU. That's where we're wrong. We shouldn't have gone to Hamas, to Egypt, to Doha. That's the wrong people to mediate. But that's, there's nothing we can do about it now. Unfortunately, we cannot count on the world to back us up. The only people we could count on are the US, and they proved it. We are at a disadvantage here, that's true, which is why we need to emphasize the fact that they need to take us seriously. The only way they would take us seriously is if we don't stop the military attack, but we do have to negotiate. And negotiate until we're, that's the thing about Trump, for example. He's an expert on those things. He's a miracle worker. Whenever he's trying to negotiate, he gets what he wants. I want to know how to do that. Well, Trump is good at a lot of things. He's good at negotiating. Yeah, why can't he do it for us? Because when he wanted Idan Alexander, he got him. No arguments, no demands. The Hamas was like, okay, take him. We're good. Well, because he threatened Egypt, and we can't seem to threaten Egypt with anything. I don't know. Well, yeah, that's. But we can't ask Trump to intervene on our behalf like that, even though that would help us get what we need. And all this time, there's other players trying to dip their hands in all of this, like Turkey, for example, in Yemen. They're trying to threaten us, even though they're like the lamest people ever. I think what we need to do right now is we need to stand behind the army. We do need to stand behind Bibi, and it pains me to say it because I hate his guts, but he's the one in charge. Whether or not I like it, he's my leader. I'll stand behind him. And then when the election comes, I'll elect somebody else. But we also need to remind the world.
Everybody else is going to.
That's the problem. We don't really have an alternative. I don't think there's anybody else. But that's not the point. The point is, what we do need is to do that, to show our support to the military action, but to also keep grinding it in the media that we want the hostages back, and this war is not going to end, even if Gaza will be, a speck of dust until we get them back. We need to take them. We need to make them this. The whole reason that the war has even started and happening is them, because they're the most important thing right now. Not what's going to happen after the war in Gaza, who's going to be the leader. Who gives a shit? I'm sorry. I care about our people first. Once we do that, once we talk about that in the negotiation table, things will progress a lot faster. I'm not an expert, though. I mean, if I were, I would have told somebody who would have told somebody, and they would have done it already. I don't have the right solution.
Well, I'm glad that Bibi is finally going in the right direction, and he's only going in the right direction because we have Trump backing us up. He wanted to go in that direction. We should have been going in this direction from the beginning, but because we had Biden, who was stopping us and threatening us by not supplying us, that...
Yeah, and there was also the Hezbollah, who are now out of the picture. But when they were around, they were making it harder for us to go into Gaza. Now they're not here anymore.
Well, they're still here, but now there's more of a chance that there's going to be a civil war in Lebanon. So maybe
you heard it too, right?
Yeah.
It's about freaking time. Dudes, you lost in the civil war in the 70s. Then you screwed us up since the 80s, since I was born until now. It's about time that you take your country back. We're tired of doing your job for you. And they're starting to. It's about time. I keep telling every Lebanese that I talk to, I have no problem with Lebanon. I have problem with being pew-pewed by Lebanon. I mean, honestly, every Lebanese who is supporting the age group is basically wants to unalive their own country. So we kept reminding them that, and then they realized that it's possible to defeat Hezbollah. Now they're doing it.
Well, after we kind of helped start the process.
So if there was only somebody like that on Gaza side, that, sorry, hold on. Hi.
Hi.
Oh, that was my husband. He told me the train had a 40-minute delay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, I forgot what you were saying.
I don't even know. Oh, we were talking about Lebanon.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, what we need is the people like the government in Lebanon that is finally standing up to those age group bastards. We need something like that in Gaza, but we don't have that. They're too deep in the age group month. So they'll just have to face the consequences and live with that.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's Bibi is trying to get people inside Gaza to step up and be civil in a civil type of government there. Besides that, won't include Hamas.
But I know, but the problem is that we could find ourselves doing that. We can find ourselves in the same situation that happened in the first war in Lebanon, where we were trying to back one side up, and they turned out to be not that much better than the other side, and we found ourselves in the middle. The only thing we were trying to do is try to weaken the bad side, but the other side wasn't that great either. And
thank you. I'm glad you're saying that, because I'm against it also, but for different reasons.
I don't think we should interfere. We should let them, fight the cat and mouse fight amongst themselves and watch them undo each other. Well, it's not our responsibility to make sure the government there is stable. I mean, it's not our responsibility at all to do anything except getting our hostages back and catch the people who did October 7, bring them to justice. That's the only thing we owe these people over there in Gaza. I mean, they made the bed they're lying in, and they got it much better than they should have.
So, why should anybody, be in charge then? I kind of like the Trump plan.
Too. I mean, make it an international territory. I mean, think about it this way. What happened in Berlin after World War II? It was demilitarized and divided by the Allies and the Russians. I mean, the Allies were the Russians and the English and the French and the Americans. And that's what we should do. We should take our allies and tell them, if you care about Gaza, you're welcome to have it. Not for age group. They're not going to be in charge here anymore. And only when we trust the people to be de-radicalized, then we can let them be in charge of.
Well, I'm against that too, because then again,
We're putting our heads in beds that don't belong, and we're dipping ourselves in mud. Yeah, you know what? Let's just leave the region to deal with itself. Nobody should be there.
Well, I disagree. I'm one of the ones that thinks that we should settle Gaza, and we should be. There should be no more. It should be no more Palestinian. They're not entitled to that land anymore. This is Jewish land. It's always been part of the land.
First of all, yeah. I don't know if you remember, if you know, but there was a Jewish community in Gaza until 1929, and the rest of them were left, were evacuated by the British, and were not allowed to come back to Gaza after the massacre, so that not to incite another massacre. And ever since then, there was no Jewish community in Gaza, but there used to be. There was a rabbi, there was a Knesset. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think that I would want to dip my head in that mud. That place is cursed. It's filled with the blood of our people. And if people want to do it, it's their own choice at their own peril.
I mean, so is the kibbutzim around Gaza. Do you think they shouldn't go back?
Of course they should go back. It's just that in Gaza, the synagogue that we have is no more. It's not exactly that we're going to come back to anything. We're going to have to build it.
Well, somebody's going to have to build everything there anyway.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be us. We should not do their job for them to rehabilitate the area.
Well, I agree for them. And that's also part of the ceasefire plan that Hamas keeps saying, is that they want us to provide all this equipment and supplies to clean it up and rebuild it. There is zero accountability for H group for anything in any of these scenarios. Egypt keeps coming up with they want to have them out of the government, but they don't want to disarm them. Yeah. How do you do that? What on what planet are you thinking that's going to help? So
I'm sorry, I need to finish. I got my kids here, and they should have been in bed half an hour ago. But well, the most important thing right now is that we Israelis on TikTok and pro-Israelis on TikTok remain unified and strong here on TikTok against the other idiots. There's too many of those idiots. And don't give up. Don't give up on your lives.
Thank you.
Really.
I'm going to be going live more often, hopefully, so I don't, because I think that's the reason why I lost it, is because you have to go on at least 2 or 3 times a month, or else I think that's how I lost it.
I might have lost it too, because I haven't done that in a while. All right, so I have to go, but thank you so much for inviting me, and have a wonderful night, and take care of yourself.
Thank you. You too. Bye.